Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Cat's Track. Thank you for subscribing, liking, and sharing this with your friends. Today's episode is with our friend, Connie Jakab. Connie was born right here in Calgary, Alberta, and I'm so glad. Her loved ones are her hubby of 21 years and her two boys. Together, they make a spicy salsa buddy. Besides their loved ones, Connie's most passionate about shifting culture through unleashing people's stories. And that is true and very important. Friends, you'll find her full bio attached. Connie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, for sure. I'm so excited to hear what you have to say. Are you ready for the questions?
I am so ready.
You look ready. Why do you do what you do, my friend?
Well, my why is really for young people. That's where my career started. My career started in East Vancouver, working with street youth and street gangs and drug dealers and just the hardest of the hard. And I know I don't look it, but I used hip hop to reach them and to teach them mental health and resilience. And to this day, I've been known to get down still. Getting up is harder, but that's where I started. And I fell in love with wanting to find solutions for mental health, poverty, what brings people to resilience and what brings people spiraling downwards away from it. And that's why I do what I do, is because I've just been intentionally curious ever since.
And you are. That I've definitely noticed that about you from the time I met you, your intense curiosity. I love it. What about your top 3 things that you'd like to share with us today?
Well, I think honestly that mental health issues, like, it's possible to change them. I think in my own family, nothing hit harder for me, actually, to be honest, than when I moved to Calgary, started my business working with breakdancing in schools, and noticed that the affluent kids, the kids in the affluent schools, and the kids that were in the ghetto, the urban ghetto, that anxiety and depression were in both. And in the middle class, there was no respecter of persons. And I remember it blew me away. And then our own son struggled with mental health, actually at the age of 6, diagnosed with anxiety, depression, age 8 was suicidal. And this is my house. This is somebody who knows about mental health, who studied resilience, has book smarts, and yet there I am completely floundering. And through, working on myself, working with counselors, but also really working on connection and listening and attuning to my son. You would never guess that he struggled the way he did. I mean, now he's a teenager, and that's a whole other story, Catherine, I have to say. But, I've realized through this journey that it's possible for parents to see change. And if we want to really move the needle, the second thing is, if we want to move the needle in mental health, then we need to be impacting parents. And who's holding the parents? Well, the workplace. Yeah. Or if they're an entrepreneur, somebody's got to help that entrepreneur, which is what brought me into, workplace wellness, the flourishing workplace. I'm like, you know what? I got to get to those kids. And if I have to go through the workplace to get to them, if I need to get to those parents. And when a business creates great culture and brings people back to meaningful connection with purpose and work, meaningful work and meaningful relationships, people thrive. Yeah. And when a parent's thriving, like for me, I had to change. It wasn't my son who had to change. It was me. And once I started to thrive, he started to thrive. And so I just think that is kind of the secret sauce to life, is connection. And then that brings me to number 3, is people's stories. We literally rewire one another's brains through storytelling. It's called the interpersonal neurobiology, the neurobiology of we. When you share your story, and this is why I love what you're doing, when people share their stories, and they're heard and they're seen and they're valued, the wirings in our brain that are fired together, whether it's anxiety or depression or worry or stress, they literally come apart, and they create new neural pathways of strength and resilience and courage and confidence. Like, that's what this is doing right now, this, this YouTube that you've created. And so I really do believe that when we start sharing our stories and listening to stories, listening to one another, leaning in, being brave, moving the needle where we can, starting with ourselves, I really believe we're going to see a shift. And all of the tsunami of mental health issues we keep hearing about, well, they can just suck my whatever. Because I'll tell you something, it doesn't have to be that way.
It doesn't. It
Yeah.
doesn't. You're right. And yet there's so much coming. You're right. It is a tsunami. For anyone that thinks that we've not been touched by mental health, we have, right? I'm sure you follow Dr. Amen out of the US with his brain and neural. Do you know about him?
Well, now I do. This is
Oh,
amazing.
I'll send you his information. He actually just finished a book on what the choices around the lockdown will impact generations to come from a mental health perspective. I'll send you that email right away.
Yeah, that would be great. Well, and
Yeah.
it's true. I was thinking about my kids, my 14-year-old, my 10-year-old, they're going to be the grandparents sharing with their grandkids. We were the COVID generation. We were in lockdown. We missed a year of school. Like
Yeah.
the way that my grandpa would share about the World War, they're going to be sharing about that with their grandkids. Very interesting.
Yeah, it's all very interesting. You're right. Well, thank you. That was excellent. And what about the new frontier or good news story that you want to share?
Oh, well, I'm so excited. We're expanding. We're going from not just the flourishing workplace, but flourishing life coaching, allowing people to dream again, creating a certification program. I find that, when things are hard, a lot of times we go to, strategy and tools, which are great. I'm all for them. I mean, I write about them, I teach them. But, there's a simple strategy of just coming alive again, choosing to dream. And it doesn't mean being unrealistic or one of those people that just drive you crazy when everybody else is suffering. They're like, it's okay, we'll do it. And you just want to like throw a stone at them. But it's this idea, this opportunity that, there are still opportunities to dream. And I'm really excited about providing pathways and frameworks for people to discover that despite what's going on.
I love it, Connie. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you for the major impact, positive impact that you're making on all of us in our community.
Oh, you're welcome. It's a privilege to serve.
You're amazing. Thank you again. That is our dear friend Connie. Check out the great work that she's doing and spread the word about the workplace. It's so true, right? We need to start at the workplace. All of us as adults want to show up better for our kids. Let's all do it together. Thanks so much for joining us on Cats Track. We'll see you next time.